Welcome to tutorial 3. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how we can create a simple multiplayer game using the blank game multiplayer skeleton code which comes with the engine under the blank underscore game underscore multiplayer folder. As you can see here, we're in our IGE project and there's the folder we're going to be using. First of all, we're going to create a new project for this, so new project. I'm putting it under my tutorials folder here. I'm going to call it tutorial 3. Okay, and then that's where I've just created it there. As you can see, there's nothing in there except the IDE's files. I'm going to go into my IGE folder, blank game multiplayer, select all, and just copy it, come back out to tutorials, tutorial 3, and then paste the files in there. So now we've just got a copy of that. We'll go back into tutorial 3 and it should show the new files. Next, we want to make sure that we can actually start the multiplayer server. The server is blank, there's nothing in there except the basic setup to start networking. So we're just going to make sure that the engine's set up properly to execute the server. And in order to do that, if you're using JetBrains PHP Storm or WebStorm and you have the Node.js plugin, you can just go into the edit configurations, runtime configurations here, and we can create one. If you don't want to do it this way, you can also use the command prompt, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're using the IDE. It's pretty much the same from either end, but let's have a look. So I'm just going to create a new Node.js project here. I'm going to call it server, and we're going to run /IGE server ig.js. That URL, that path there, just so you know, we're in here. So we go ... that's backup 1, then IGE, then server, and IGE.js. That's our server app. Okay. Now the application parameters, -g means run this game, and dot just specifies the current folder, in which case it's the tutorial 3 is our working directory, so that's where the IGE.js will run the script. It will look for server.js in the path you provide it here. So because we're using a dot, it's checking in there, and that will be running that server.js. So click apply, click OK, and we're just going to click run here just to make sure that the server will run, and there's Node.js executing in the IDE, so you can see it executing there. The IDE has built-in Node.js debugging and some extra functionality and tools there which make it very useful for developing multiplayer games, because you can create obviously instances of your game running here and then debug them. Now I'm just going to quickly go to the command line and show you how to do this if you don't have the IDE. So I've just stopped the instance in the IDE by clicking that stop button. I'm just going to go to CMD. I'm going to switch to the folder I'm using. Next on the tutorials. Okay. Okay, so this is our tutorial 3 folder that we're in, and I think I can get node from the command line. Yes, I can. So all we do is type node /IGE /server /IGE.js -g dot. So it's practically the same command, and boom, there we are. We've got it executing in the command prompt there. So that's how you would run it from the command prompt. We're not going to do that though because we've got an IDE for it, so there's no point in doing that. Now, if we have a look at the actual server.js file, this is kind of the entry point, the main class for your server. I'm just going to quickly walk you through this. So all it's doing here is adding the network component, in this case we're using NetIO. You can swap NetIO out for Socket.io as well if you prefer to use Socket.io. So you can just do that, and that's ready to do. You have to make that change on the client side as well. There. So it would look like that. So we're using Socket.io now. That's they're both API compatible, so that's a simple switch. We're listening on port 2000 on the server here, and then we start the engine and check for success. On success, we register a couple of functions that can listen for connections and disconnections. They don't do anything at the moment; they're blank. This is just a skeleton project. And then we add the stream component, set the stream interval to 30 milliseconds, and start the stream. Now, we won't go into too much into the technical details of that right now, but suffice it to say that the stream is the kind of backbone for all of your multiplayer games. So it's a simple setup like that. Once it's running, any changes you make to streamed entities will instantaneously, well, rather automatically, stream to all of your connected clients, or rather the ones that you want it to be streamed to. And then we ask the network to accept connections. If you don't call this, then any connections that any clients that try to connect will just be instantly kind of disconnected. So it's a good way of sort of just enabling or disabling the server as you wish. And finally, we add graph IGE base scene. The IGE base scene just sets up a base IGE scene 2D class and a viewport that looks at that scene. So that's all that's doing there. Right, I'm going to run the server, and I'm just going to go to a browser. One second. Bring this over to the other screen so you can see what's going on. So here are our tutorial. This is our tutorials folder on my web server, and this is tutorial 3. Now, if you watch when I click this, you're going to end up with a blank screen because there's nothing going on the server or the client at the moment. It's just a skeleton. But you should be able to see the client connect down here in the console. So let's just click here. No, that didn't work. Let's find out why. I didn't have clear cache on. Let's try reloading that again. There we go. Always keep your dev tools open because if you have your disable cache switched on, you can always make sure you're getting the absolute latest version of the code that you're executing in the browser. It's very important for development. Okay. You'll notice that we're getting a pretty low FPS, again, with nothing going on at all. It's just because my screen cap software expression encoder takes up a lot of FPS for some reason, not sure why. So anyway, there you go. You can see that on both the client and the server, it loads the IGE base scene. Now the base scene, if we look at our scene graph, it just creates a viewport and a base scene 2D, IGE scene 2D object, base scene. The viewport automatically builds its own camera, and that's it. That's our scene graph for now. There's nothing else going on. So I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to stop the server now, and I'm going to show you how we can create an entity that will then display something on screen, and we can move it around on the server, and it'll move exactly the same on all the clients.